the Agrarian Sharing Network, we've always had this motto, which is essentially like a friend to everyone and an enemy of none. And essentially, one of the things we're endeavouring to do many things with this initiative, but one of the things we're endeavouring to do is to cultivate, in a sense, a new reality. One that transcends social divisions, political divisions, religious divisions, and is basically of a living form of togetherness that supports that living conversation between people across all these boundaries, using basically the heaven of earth as the embrace that brings everything together.
I think if we bring people together, and then we can have conversations when things get real. So I think it's an opportunity for people in their neighborhoods to connect, and we use sharing plants and food and music and play together as that platform.
Well, as we have been progressing, we have discovered that food sovereignty is paramount in our overthrowing the dominant paradigm. And the only way that we will survive, the only way that we will make the community that we want is to get involved. And one of the easiest ways to get involved is to start growing your own food. And a lot of people have gardens, vegetable gardens, and this is taking it another step further with the seed swap and making cost less of an issue for people. Our biggest cost is the cost of the rootstock and the grafter's time. Other than that, this is mostly community supported. All the scion comes from local gardeners, farmers, comes from our area, and we just want to pass that on to people and get them excited about growing their own food.
It's something that allows us to address what ails the earth and what ails ourselves as people in the same breath, tending to the foundation of our world and modeling it in a way that is a reflection of the world we anticipate will work. We've never charged for this event. We give away everything as freely as we possibly can. We're finding this extraordinarily depth of loving connection, running all the way down from Williams in Southern Oregon. We're up to Orcas. We're doing events now up by the Canadian border. That there's this thread that connects, that's coming in to a large degree in part because the social dynamic that we are engaging in is modeled on nature's lines, nature's patterns. When you move towards the propagation archetype, you move towards a root archetypal form in life, the world, nature, human culture. And when we marry that form of the green-blooded natural dynamic to the red-blooded social dynamic in what we call this eco-social form, this eco-cultural form, what we find is the synergy doesn't just work on what you might think like a technical level. We might be grassroots, but the ecological sophistication of these efforts is extraordinary. We've been doing this work for many years now, and we've gotten really dialed in to what the most impressive and likely future heirlooms in our bioregion are going to be. And we're getting pretty good at going out and finding this material and identifying it and collecting it and storing it and distributing it in a healthy way to, across our entire bioregion. But it's not just the technical side that's working. What we're finding is that the social side is working synergistically with it too.
What's really interesting is that we're really focusing, it used to be a really big event that used to encompass all of Eugene, but now we're focused on smaller neighborhood operations, and so we're trying to really focus on bringing folks together in their immediate community and transform folks from consumers of culture to contributors of our community. So, I was really excited today to see folks that showed up early, and we just had folks helping put scion in buckets, de-rubber band things, get seed out on the table, so it was more of a contribution rather than a consumer activity.
I work with children who have disabilities, and so having them in my yard and having them touch and having them help me plant things and grow, I hope shows them where their food comes from, and that processed food is not the only choice. And also for my child, I started growing things and having chickens so that my son could see that food came from an actual place, not some, amorphous grocery store, and having it trucked in. It was important to convey those things.
Well, I came and I was a consumer of this event back in the day, and I felt like I really needed to collaborate and be part of it because I thought it was really important. How does it apply to my life? I like bringing people together. So, and I like plants. So those two things go hand in hand for me.
It's really easy to get overwhelmed. So first things first, container gardening is great. Container gardening is a great way to get your feet wet without the big expense of putting in beds or other things. There are lots of gardeners who are upgrading. There are lots of things on Craigslist that you can get, secondhand, or people are moving, and so you can benefit from other people's experiences and grow your garden. The OSU Extension Center has a lot of classes. I'm not suggesting everybody become a master gardener, but they do offer a lot of classes that are often free, that you can ask questions of. The Xerces Foundation has lovely lectures on pollinators, so maybe you just want a flower garden for pollinators, maybe you just want to do veggies. Food for Lake County, Seed to Supper has a fantastic introductory 6-week class for people to take, and it introduces them to the principles of gardening, and they do talk about container gardening. Getting involved in your community, going to the rose gardens, going to a prop fair, asking questions, sharing with your neighbors. I always share. I grow way more vegetables than I possibly need. And then other organizations like Positive Community Kitchen, I grow food for them, and they work with teens from the Northwest Youth Corps to keep them out of detention facilities and to teach them culinary skills. So there's lots of different ways people can get involved. These are a great springboard for other events. We do at least six of these through this ASN, and there are a couple other through the Home Orchard Society, and one in Lakeview and one in Williams. And so we're starting to spread, and people are getting excited. People are getting excited about growing their own food. And honestly, if you can only just do one thing, maybe you just like sunflowers. Just start with sunflowers, and just go from there and share what you love with other people.
Around work such as this, we're very clear that we're actually moving towards something that is coherent, something that is functional, something that works for everybody and for the planet, and essentially is ultimately a really beautiful thing. That's why we do it. It's beautiful, so much fun.